It's that time of yet another week. Can you believe it? Another week has flown past where we take a look at your top stories making headlines in Israel right here on the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, brought to you by Lay of the Land before we head into a well-deserved weekend. Now, I know it's December time, so many of you are heading out on your vacations or your holidays, and we at Lay of the Land wish you a safe journey and safe return. But before we head off, let's take a look at those top stories. And we begin with news that the family of Palestinian activist Nizar Banat has filed a suit against the Palestinian Authority at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Now, this follows Banat's death in custody last year, and they are naming high-ranking Palestinian officials. If we go back to June 2021, known critic of the Palestinian Authority and activist Banat was dragged from his home and, according to an autopsy, was beaten to death within an hour of his arrest. The autopsy results found beatings to his head, his neck, his chest, and his leg. Now, the ICC are not under any obligation to take the case, but it does send a very strong message to the Palestinian Authority about the way that activists and journalists are treated. This is not the first time we're hearing that. Following his death in custody, Palestinian journalists were routinely rounded up and arrested. Some reported incidents of torture as well. Meanwhile, yesterday, Arab-Israeli journalist Khaled Abu Toameh on Twitter reported that Palestinian Authority police were cracking down on any critics of the Palestinian Authority. Yesterday, we brought you the story of Special Rapporteur at the United Nations Human Rights Council, Francesca Albanese, whose portfolio is to look at human rights in the Palestinian territories, and that some of her social media activity where she accused Israel, amongst many things, of being Nazis, and said that the Jewish lobby controls America. Well, Israel has responded to this, calling on the United Nations to stop allowing the use of this horrendous anti-Semitic accusation to be used, saying that this has happened before. And we go back to a broadcast that we brought you earlier this year of Milun Kotari, one of the commissioners for the Commission of Inquiry into Israel and the Palestinians, who also made the same accusations. In an exclusive with the Times of Israel, Albanese is alleged to have said she regrets those comments, but her social media history shows a history and that she has form with regards to anti-Semitic comments. Israel said that the UN must stop turning a blind eye to these kind of comments and stop allowing their special rapporteurs and commissioners to make these comments with impunity, saying that all it does is add to the spread of anti-Semitism. Staying with the United Nations, and the Islamic Republic of Iran was expelled last night from the UN Women's Rights Commission. This follows the appalling treatment of women in Iran following the brutal murder, also in custody, of Masih Amini rather, who was arrested, and it is believed that she was tortured until she passed away in hospital a short while later for not wearing her hijab properly. Since then, there have been ongoing protests across Iran. Now, in a vote of 29-8 with 16 abstentions, member states voted to expel Iran, making this the first time in history that a member state of the Women's Rights Commission has been expelled. And we try as much as possible to end on a positive note, and according to Tourism Israel, tourism is booming in Bethlehem. This comes ahead of Christmas. It is reported that tour groups are filling the streets and hotels are fully booked, and that any violence between Israel and the Palestinians seems to have little or no effect on Christmas visitors. And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast. Just a reminder that we will be sending out our newsletter next week, but we'll be taking a short break until the new year. But you can keep following our content on www.layoftheland.online. We're on Facebook at Lottle Site. If you haven't already joined our community, please do so by liking us or following us. We're on YouTube. Our channel is at the Israel Brief. We will try as much as possible to continue with news broadcasts throughout the festive season. And of course, we're on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Rolene Marks, wishing you all a peaceful, a happy and a safe weekend. Shabbat Shalom. And join me again next week for your top stories from Israel.